Thank you for joining another mscrm-addons webinar. Today, we kind of started this last year, thought it was a pretty good idea, so we decided to do it again this year. Just basically doing a review for 2018, on what we've kind of added to the products and everything like that, and then where we're going in 2019, what we're going to be doing. So my name's Clint Higley, and with me, as always, is Michael Dorr. Michael's actually going to be the one down there answering any questions that you may have in the chat. Uh, Being that this is just more along the lines of we're just kind of going over some of the newer features that we've added to the products this year and some upcoming features and everything like that. Don't expect there's going to be a lot of questions, but if there are, Michael's there to answer them for you. And if there's any that are interesting, usually at the end we kind of do a question and answer session to kind of answer those. So if you um, have anything, please feel free to ask, okay? Another thing is that we always do record these webinars, so if you want to go back and review it, you can. You can find that on our website. Uh, we have all of the webinars that we've done. We're getting close to, we'll probably break 50 webinars, next year, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, so if you want to go and review these, we have the recordings of them and then also the slides. And we do send those out to you once this is all completed and it's uploaded. So I want to go ahead and get into it, talk a little bit about just kind of reviewing, one of our main products, of course, is Documents Core Pack, one that you guys are probably familiar with. Just before I kind of get into some of these features that were added this year, just want to let you know that all these features have been covered in previous webinars. So if you see something in there that interests you, just please go ahead and feel free to go back and take a look at those, maybe if you missed one or something along those lines. So starting off, one of the main things that we added to this was one-click actions. And the one-click action basically will standardize and simplify your document generation process, right? It's kind of something that's been in the product since CRM 2013. But basically this year we kind of expanded on that and made basically like an interface where you can edit. These one-click actions made it a lot simpler. So it's pretty simple. So this allows you to basically define these processes for your users, instead of them having to go through picking a template, picking what they want to do after that document's been generated, all that stuff, and all these options. You can narrow that down for them, so you can let them pick some options and then some you predefine, or you can just have it to where they click the button and it does, basically everything that you wanted to do. That was a major thing for us, and it's made things a lot easier for a lot of our customers. The next thing that tied into that was the ability to do the multi-part documents. And what the multi-part documents were, it allows you to create some of these complex document packages. And what we mean by that is that we're able to, select like several different templates. Like let's say I have 3 or 4 different templates that I want to put in a document package. Let's say based on certain conditions, I want it to use one template over the other. You're able to kind of do all that, and that combines back in with the one-click action where you hit that, and basically what it's going to do is going to merge all 4 of those documents, put them together into one document package for you. Some examples of that we see are like proposals or like offer packets or things like that, where it's a package basically made up of multiple documents, whether that be static documents that you're getting from SharePoint and adding it to this package along with the templates, everything like that. It allows you to create all those, and then the conditional logic that you can use for those, you can use, like, say for example, one offer packet for Georgia, one offer packet for, say, Florida, and it picks and selects the correct template with the correct verbiage in there. So that was really an interesting thing. The other thing that we've also included in this is user prompts. What the user prompts are is it's basically just what it sounds like. You're able to incorporate. So basically what that will do for you is, sometimes there's things like, you don't want to store some information in CRM. Like, I usually know, like, a lot of our sales guys, they like to put in little personal notes to people, when they're sending off quotes or different emailings and things of that nature. Well, you don't want to put a field inside a CRM and then have them go to the record and type in their little note and then pull that into your document. what this user prompt allows you to do is when they're actually creating the document, comes up and asks them, if you want to add a personal note to this document. So they'd be able to type their information in, and it's just kind of a one-off, basically, where uh, it's a one-off, basically, where it just allows them to put this personalized note or whatever into the document without having to store it in CRM. You're able to do that with some check boxes. You're able to have like multi-select fields where you're able to actually select what type of text. Nice example of that would be 30, 60, 90-day terms. You could select that in there, and then that would show up on your quote or on your document, however. The next thing that we released would be our condition designer. And this is for the template designer, the Documents Core Pack template designer. It's basically dynamic content based on values. It's something that you kind of were always able to do with words, with Word. So like, for example, if statements, if you're familiar with those, being able to show and hide things based on certain criteria. One of the major things about that was it was a little clunky to use, a little clunky to edit. So with our, okay, all right, thank you so much. Let me try this again. So just a fair warning. How about now? Eric, can you see it? Okay, great, good deal. Thank you so much. So as I was saying, basically the condition designer, what that then does for, it allows you to kind of create these conditions with this condition designer, and it gives you the conditions that you're making. The look and feel of it is similar to an advanced find. So you're able to do these complex conditions and do other things like, if something contains something or begins with, things that you weren't able to do with the if statements in Word. Um, they're very easy to edit, and it's really one of the things. And the nice part about it is it's kind of a foundation that we've put in there. Right now, it's just basically doing the if-else statements, but it's a foundation that we've put into Documents Core Pack, so we can kind of expand on that and do other things with it as we kind of go further on down the road. So very cool. Another thing is the Power Platform capability. It's basically got support for model-driven apps, Power Apps, and Flow. I'm sure a lot of you guys are, either on, close to upgrading to version 9 or have already upgraded to version 9. These are things that are, kind of contained in version 9, things that you're going to be using in the future, especially Flow and the Power Apps as well. Our Documents Core Pack piece integrates pretty seamlessly into that. There are some improvements that we're going to be making, but you can actually do that now. Like, for example, we've, in a previous webinar, we've generated a document via Power App, and then it uses a flow to actually generate that document. So that stuff's all ready in there, and now it's compatible with it, so you can start using that. And lastly, one of the features that we've added here on the back end would be load balancing. And what the load balancing is it gives you that scalability and high performance. Let's say you're in an environment where you're generating a lot of documents, and you've noticed that, hey, you've got a little bit of a slowdown. If someone sends a big batch to the Documents Core Pack server, sends a big batch to it, you notice that there's a little bit of a slowdown there. What this load balancing does for you is it drastically speeds up the amount of time these documents are being generated, because you're basically doing this across several services, right? So normally you only have one service in play. With the load balancing, you have a master service, and then the out of the box load balancing comes with the master service and 3 services. One of those services is dedicated to just doing single document generation only, and you have the other 2 that's dedicated to batches. So you can actually just you can push a lot of documents out to it, and it'll very quickly pick those up and generate them very, very fast. So if it's something that right now, if you're having issues with that, go ahead, you can call us up and we can talk a little bit about load balancing, see if that's going to work for you. All right, so that pretty much covers what we released this year. in Documents Core Pack alone. So it's a lot of stuff. Makes it, I think, a much more powerful tool than where we were a year ago. Want to talk a little bit about another product that we have, Attachment Extractor. Again, some of y'all may be familiar with that. Basically, reducing storage in your Microsoft Dynamics 365 instance and moving that. Used to have be just we would just move it over to SharePoint. Now we've got support for the Azure Blob as well. So another alternate storage location where you can actually pull that information and pull those attachments out and stick it in there. There are some pros and cons to that. Again, we covered this in last month's webinar, so if this is something that you're interested in, you can go to our website and check that out. The other thing about it is our new transparent extraction. Basically, what this does for you, if you are an old user of Attachment Extractor, you've seen it before. When an attachment was extracted, it would be the name of the attachment plus the file extension plus a .url. We found that caused some confusion for users, so basically now we have an on-demand kind of service that streams it back from the file storage location into CRM once the record is accessed. So you'll see the users will just all they'll see is the name of the file plus the extension and the file size. So they won't see any kind of change. It'll just be like the file's still there in CRM when actually we're pulling it from the alternate storage location. And that's exactly what I was getting into there with the streaming of documents. Nice part is like, say, for example, if you're using the Azure Blob or SharePoint, you don't need that, and you're just using it as, say, like basically for a file dump. You're just dumping the files in there. If you're not caring about the structure or using the document management piece inside of SharePoint, you don't have to worry about the security synchronization. That my user over here needs to be synchronized and be able to see these folders over here on SharePoint because of the streaming service, and because we pull that back and push it back into CRM. You no longer have to do that security sync up between SharePoint and Dynamics 365. The other thing that we've had here is some of our web configuration updates. That would be for our online services that we have, basically giving time logic and then the black and white list to be able to exclude or include certain entities, or just look at one particular entity. Also, a time range, like, say, for example, I want to extract attachments that are older than 3 months, or I want to extract attachments within a certain date range only. We've added that to our web config. So moving on, some other things. So enhancement releases. This covers our three tools here: Power Search, SmartBar, and Activity Tools. These are unified client interface compatible. Power Search, the reason that it's started there is Power Search is close to having that. But the other two work pretty flawlessly in there right now. Power Search soon to follow. So Power Search, one of the major things that we've done this year is added the ability to do and/or keywords in Power Search, doing like user default searches in Power Search if you're familiar with it, and result preview updates. So being able to see these previews as they're, as you're updating things, you see these previews coming on. Again, something that we covered earlier, I think this year, in one of our webinars that we did the beginning of the year. Activity tools, we're showing the complete view. And what we mean by that is basically this is related regarding activities, meaning that, you can see, you can kind of tone it down a little bit. You're just seeing exactly what you need to see for this certain record. You're not seeing everything. That's like, you can have it show all the related regarding activities, or, just the ones that are regarding just that one certain record. Another capability, I don't think this is actually out yet. It's going to be out in the next release, which is going to probably be, I believe, for the end of the year. It's the full screen capability. Being able to, Activity Tools is really, really nice because, it gives you that Outlook look and feel inside of CRM. But one of the things is sometimes, when you're reading through these emails and you've got a small little bit of a form here that you have your activity tools on, it's hard to sometimes read through those emails. So there's a little button that will be there. You can click it and it kind of expands that window up so you can actually read through these emails and then continue. You can do everything that you can in normal activity tools. You can, reply, etc. Right from there. And you got custom filters, for example, user emails for a certain record. So you can do a lot more filtering than you could before. Want to talk a little bit about licensing and pricing updates here. The first thing, licensing, customer engagement, which is, as we know it at CRM, customer engagement, you're probably going to hear that a lot more. So it's all the licensing now has kind of been moved inside of CRM. You can actually see it in the settings of the product. Inside of CRM, you can actually see and review your licenses. You don't really have a need anymore to kind of go to the license manager if you're familiar with that and look all that stuff up. You can see it directly right in CRM. We also provided this year team member licensing for just the people that already have the Dynamics 365 team member licenses. They're much more inexpensive than our regular licenses in both sides. So we provided that as well. The other thing is we now have security role considerations as well, to where, like, for example, we exclude users with no security roles from licensing. That's one of the things that did actually come with version 9. Pretty much anybody in your Office 365, they may not have a license for CRM, but they were kind of just like thrown in there, and it showed maybe, like you had, like, say you only had 100 people in your CRM, and all of a sudden you did that update and you had, like 200 people all of a sudden in there. Well, those people were given the Common Data Service license, which counts, towards your CRM users. What we found is usually those users are put into your CRM system with no security roles attached to them. So if a user doesn't have security roles, we don't count them against the license. Coming up, we are actually seeing now that we're going to be able to exclude specific security roles, and this is mainly the app access roles. Okay, this is something that's kind of coming down the pipe, but we already have that capability to kind of exclude users that just have these app access roles as well. As far as pricing goes, in 2019, there will be no pricing increase on any of our tools. Public team member pricing, it's 15% of the Plan 1 licensing. So I'm going to get Michael on here. Maybe he can explain that a little bit more. He's more of the he has a general better understanding of that. Michael, are you there? Can you talk a little bit about that this public member pricing here?
Sure thing. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so what we introduced was the team member pricing. We actually did that along with introducing team member licensing. And likewise to Microsoft, we decided, or we had to align the price kind of to the needs of a classic team member. Although, as you know, hard to distinguish right now from a technical perspective. Anyway, what we will have available rather soon is public team member pricing. And this is just a rough estimate. It's not true for every product, but the pricing will be around 15% of the average price we charge for full users of the solutions inside Dynamics. Basically aligned on Documents Callback. So the price of the average Plan 1 user using Documents Callback and team member pricing will be 15% of that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. A couple of things, a couple of new things that we're adding this year. We've kind of been doing this, but we haven't really made it known. We're offering a couple of things that we've noticed that people have asked for, which would be a template design workshop for Documents Callback, the telephone integration, which is kind of a proof of concept for our telephone integration tool. That I believe is actually free for new users. We give I think a 2-hour session where we kind of go over it and look to make sure that telephone integration is actually going to work in their system. And then the load balancing. Naturally, those load balancing services do cost. I think we were discussing it this morning, and it was I don't know, it was 200. We got the price. I got the price in euros. So, Michael, do you know the price for the load balancing services off the top of your head? What they're going to be?
Uh, roughly. So if you want to activate it, it's close to, I think, $700 per year to enable load balancing. And then you can, this includes basically 3 load balancer services. So instead of one service performing document generation or document extraction, you will then have 4 automatically. So it's kind of increase already, and then you can add on demand more services alongside the scalability you mentioned before. And this is then, I think it's in the range of 20 to $30 per, or US dollars per month
Okay.
per service.
Great. Excellent. All right. So moving on. Now this is the where it gets real interesting. This is what's coming in 2019. What we're doing, and one of the things that I'm most excited about is something that we've talked about since I've been here. Started here 5 years ago. Adding chart support to Documents Core Pack, being able to embed charts into your Documents Core Pack documents. Those charts naturally based on Dynamics 365 data. Um, Something that we've kind of been chasing for years, and now it's one of those things where it looks like it's hopefully going to happen. So I know that we've been asked about this before. That's one of the things that I'm really excited about. So yeah, moving on to the next thing is also we're going to, we already offer DocuSign and AssureSign integration. Well, we're also going to offer the Adobe eSign integration. So be able to generate and send contracts in basically just one step. It's basically what you do now. So if you have kind of been holding out, trying to decide, we're adding, decide which e-signature integration that you're planning on using. We will be adding the Adobe eSign, and that's coming very, very soon. So it should be beginning of next year, roughly. Next, we basically are adding a few other things here to Documents Core Pack as far as e-signature providers go. Being able to do kind of in-person signing or in-store signing for all e-signature providers. It's going over to the Documents Core Pack template designer, where we're going to expand basically on the conditional conditions that we've added. We're going to be able to do conditional formatting. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, if I have a price of something that's in there, if it's if it's positive, I want to show that in green. If it's a negative, I'll show it in red. So be able to do that conditional formatting, use different fonts, etc., based on conditions. Template Explorer is very, very exciting for me when you deal with templates all the time. Basically, you're going to be able to see all conditions and all fields in one place. So instead of having to scroll through your document, basically on the left side of your Word window, you're going to have kind of like a tree, kind of like a file explorer, where it's going to have your conditions and your fields and everything like that listed out. You're going to be able to click on those, go right to those fields right inside of your document. So that's going to speed up, either the document creation. Say you want to add something, you want to edit a condition or something along those lines. Also in troubleshooting as well, say something's not working, you just go right to that point. So really handy feature that we've kind of been asking for. A lot of people have been asking for. The next one I think actually more people have been asking for, and this is date time operations. And what do I mean by that? If you've ever written us before asking us, hey, I've got a template, something that I'm going to send out to the customer, and I need to tell them that this is valid 30 days from today, and I need to actually add the date. I just can't say 30 days. And we've always been said, well, not possible to do. Well, now we should be able to do it. So you're going to be able to do a date range, like time between the day. So time span, you're going to be able to add days onto, like say, for example, if I want something 30 days from today, want to put that in there, you're going to be able to do it with this. Template preview. So basically, you're going to be able to see the template prior to document generation in the dialog. The reason that a lot of people have asked for that is a lot of people don't follow Clint's #1 golden rule, which is one template to rule them all with conditions, and using all that stuff to minimize the amount of templates that you have. Some people have a lot of templates in their system, and that's okay. You know, sometimes it is confusing for your users because they don't know exactly which template that they want to select. Well, with the template preview, you'll be able to click on it and see, get a quick preview of what the template is, what you're actually going to be merging. Lastly, is more of kind of a back-end thing. It's going to be an advanced template import-export utility. It will have a scheduler. Basically, you're going to be able to back up your templates, which I highly recommend. I always recommend backing up templates. You know, and then also transfers as well, and then simple transition between environments. One of the nice parts about that is one of the things when I first read this, one of the things that I asked was, hey, let's say I have a you know, a dev environment, and I have my production environment or my testing environment, and I want to do all my template creation in dev and then move that over to my UAT or my test system. Will I be able to set up a scheduler that exports them from uh, my dev system at night and then uploads them to my um, test system right after that? The answer to that was yes. So that's really going to be nice because right now it's a manual process. So really, really cool little feature there. Let's see what's next. Also, talk a little bit about telephone integration. We're basically we're doing a consolidated test tool. You know, we have a test tool for Tappy, we have a test tool for SIP and everything like that, but we're consolidating that all into one piece with all the testing and troubleshooting tools right into this test tool. So it makes it easier to actually, you know, to set up and configure the telephone integration, so you get it up and running quicker. Um, we're also going to be adding Teams integration with that, so that's a really big thing. Microsoft is moving to Teams. So the Teams integration is coming, and then also finally some design updates. So it's going to look a little bit better, act a little bit snappier. Really nice when those show up. Attachment Extractor. Basically, we're going to be able to do activity content extraction. So basically, um, let's say one of the things that we've noticed is that, especially like in our system, is that after all the attachments, after all the email attachments and notes are gone, what's left is all these, you know, we're all tracking all these emails, and you know, there's an email chain back and forth, and everybody keeps adding you know, these large email bodies to it. You know, after a while, that adds up. That's going to be one of those things that we're going to be able to extract, um, and then stream back on demand. So you'll be able to still, you know, scan through those email activities in CRM and see those. It's just kind of be on demand, but those email bodies and everything like that will be stored in your Azure blob. So, and then lastly is the parity between online configuration and on-prem capability. So, if you've ever worked with Attachment Extractor before, you've noticed that our on-premise version has a lot more features and bells and whistles and things like that than the online version does. We're going to be bringing a lot of those things in, like the ability to, you know, we're going to delete all those image.image001.jpegs where it's just like a little Twitter image or a Facebook image. To be able to delete those out, don't have to take up space storing them on SharePoint or storing them on the Azure blob. So things like that will be coming into the online configure where you'll be able to set those up. Just in general too, we're going to be supporting the unified client interface, so compatibility for all solutions and features in the unified client interface. Some model-driven apps, so support for CDS without first-party solutions. Support for Power Apps and Flow, which we've kind of already covered. We you know, support that, but we're going to be building on top of that as well because that's how we feel like things are going. And building blocks, basically, to make it easier to use our solutions and say like portals or custom controls and things like that. So we're going to make it just a lot easier to integrate, say, Documents Core Pack or something like that into your portal. So yeah, so a lot of exciting things this coming year. So um, and we'll just, once they're all ready to go, we'll be doing another webinar on those, get technical with them, and show you how to configure them, etc. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Really glad that you took your time out of your day to come and sit with us and listen to this. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.